Kevin, hey, you're starting out muted. You just need to unmute.
Kaboom. Hello.
Hey, welcome. It's just me and my 2-year-old. Well, that's just a picture of him. Eros.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, handsome lad.
Thank you. So other people might join in, but you know what? I really just want to talk to you, me and you, because I know nothing about politics. And I met you at a rally outside the courthouse, and Eros and I talked, and I got one of your signs and I put it up in my front lawn. And I honestly have no idea who you are, what you represent, or what any politician represents. And I think it's time I start to learn about politics.
Well, do you have 3 days? Because it'll take roughly that long. However, here's what I will do. I'll start with me. My name is Kevin J Johnston. I am not a politician. I'm an investigative journalist. There's a big difference between what I do and what the average politician does. I am the one who gets in the way of the illegal political ambitions that politicians have. I have exposed a great number of politicians for either illegal things or crazy behaviors or humiliating things that they do. Why? Because there should be checks and balances in every walk of life. And regrettably, we don't have checks and balances in Canada. In fact, Canada is so light on white collar crime that you could steal millions of dollars and probably do less than 3 months in jail for it. It's that crazy. So what I decided to do in 2014, I threw my name in the hat to run for mayor of Mississauga, to learn the ropes, only because the other lady who was running for mayor, her name is Bonnie Crombie, and well, she got on my nerves. I'm thinking, this person can't be mayor without a fight. I've got to do something. So I learned the ropes, and I debated this person. Excuse me, I have to sneeze.
He's human.
Sorry about that. So I learned about her. I debated her, and it was strange that I was leaving an entertainment, stunt work, and comedy career to dabble in politics, only to find out that I knew more about politics and the way the city runs than the current mayor of Mississauga, population 1.2 million, right next door to Toronto. How's it possible? Think about it, because I mean, I do pay attention to news and I have conversations with a lot of people, but how could a stand-up comedian who's taking a break from stand-up comedy know more? Well, I placed 11th in 2014 in that mayor race. I decided to run again for mayor of Mississauga. When I made the big announcement in 2017, I had a crowd of about 5,000 people in front of me at Mississauga City Hall. They clapped, they cheered, they standing ovation. The current mayor, Bonnie Crombie, who won in 2014, could not have me running against her again because I thoroughly crushed her in debate. So what does she do? She has me charged criminally with a false charge, what they call a summary charge. So upon conviction, it would be a $500 fine. But she needed to have some way to get me not to debate her because she sucks at it. And I'm very good at it. I used to be a radio show host. I've been talking publicly, speaking publicly, talking publicly, debating publicly. I've been in the public eye since I was 17. So I'm a pro. There's no way to debate me and win. There's no way to win in any way, because I always come armed with facts, a little bit more charm, smile, sense of humor, and jokes. And the jokes are actually funny. But I mean, I know nothing about welding. So if you're looking for someone to weld the hole in your car, I can't do it. You got the wrong guy.
Can I ask
and
you
she didn't want that. Yeah.
Sorry, so you finished.
I'm just going to say, like, that's where the criminal charge comes from. But after all of that, what the mayor has currently done, this is how dirty politics are in Canada. She has had the police force called the Peel Regional Police arrest me 11 times just to get on my nerves, to try to get me not to have a podcast, to try to get me not to divulge her secrets, to try to get me not to talk about her, to try to get rid of me in general. That's what she was doing. And that's what the police force would do. So the police, unfortunately, are not here to serve and protect the public anymore. They're just here to do whatever the leaders, the politicians tell them to do, so they keep their job. And unfortunately, it's the same way in Calgary. I've left Ontario. I doubt I'm going back. I've had enough of the attitude and the left-wing politics there. I have no interest in Marxism. I have no interest in universal income. Being around 6 million people who might be on universal income, that type of a society will crash. So I'm here in Alberta, where there's still an entrepreneurial spirit. and there's still some Canadian spirit left. And there definitely is a love of humanity here that Toronto hasn't had for over 20 years. So I'm pleased, thrilled, and honored to be an Albertan and a Calgarian. So I'm running for mayor now, and I'm polling number one. And what happens this Saturday, as soon as the polls come out saying I'm number one, 2 hours later, I'm arrested because the politicians here do not want me to win. They want to keep the status quo of them being allowed to steal and pillage and take whatever they want. And I'm going to stop that and expose that and put warrants out for all of their arrests, which, again, they can't have.
Okay,
because
wait. Well, I gotta stop you because, like, okay, I gotta break this all down because, I mean, you do talks all the time and, like, you're talking to people who understand you. I don't, and so I'm going to represent a community of people who do not understand politics. So let's just take this right from the top. You're running for mayor. Okay, who can run for mayor? Can I run for mayor?
Anybody. If you have, I think the fee, I want to say the fee was about $250. I'm off the top of my head, I can't really remember. You have to have 200 signatures from Calgarians stating that they nominate you. You put your name in to run for mayor at the Calgary Elections Office, which is a little bit north of the Trans-Canada Highway on the northeast side. And if they accept your signatures and you pay your money and you stand there and take the oath, you're in. That's it. That's all it takes. So the whole process was 30 minutes in their office. The process was about, if I had to add up the number of hours, maybe about 15 hours on my part to just chat with people and get signatures and then carry those signatures in. Now, a city in Canada is not a city in the traditional sense, not in the European sense where it's connected directly to the country's culture. All a city is in Canada is a service corporation. A service corporation that collects taxes on behalf of itself, but also on behalf of the province, because the province in Canada, our 10 provinces, are actually technically independent countries with de facto governments. Canada is not a country. It's an administrative body. It's called a dominion, hence the legal name of Canada, the Dominion of Canada. And that's why the federal government tends to have almost no influence over a strong premier. You know, Ralph Klein ignored everything that the Liberal Party at the time had to say. He ignored everything that whoever was in charge, Ralph Klein ignored because he could, because Alberta is a country. But people don't understand it that way. And the cities that are within it are just service corporations. So as mayor, I would be the CEO, the chief executive officer of a service corporation with 1.2 million customers. Everybody who owns property or a business or has some stake in this city is a customer. Now, they're a customer with taxes forced upon them, but they're still a customer. And if you want your city to succeed, you must run the city like a business. You must be a customer service aficionado and make sure that your customers feel safe. So you got to get the police to back off of them and the police to protect them. They have to be comfortable wherever they go in town. So that's where the police come in, but that's also where cleaning up high crime areas comes in. And then they have to want to go out and spend money, which people do want to do right now, which means the city has to be open. My plan, when I announced that I'm going to open the city up, lockdowns are over, Jason Kenney, who's the premier of the province, panicked because he's trying to keep everything locked down. That's what he wants. He's not here for you and me. He's following the instructions of Justin Trudeau, which is to keep us all locked down. They actually are trying.
And yes. Who's Justin Trudeau following? Who's telling him?
Do you really want to know?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you the truth. The Aga Khan. The Aga Khan would be what I would consider the Pope of the Ismaili Islamic sect. They are the clean-cut ones. They're the ones that enjoy life. They have yachts and they drink alcohol and they have a good time. They represent about 6% of Islam, but they represent about 75 to 80% of the actual money that all of Islam has. The Aga Khan, the original one, or sorry, the previous one, my mistake, was friends with Justin Trudeau's father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, and the current one essentially owns Justin Trudeau. Trudeau, if I remember correctly, it was month number 5 of him being in office, left the country without his security detail. No world leader does that. And he went to the Aga Khan's island alone to receive his instructions from the Aga Khan. The Aga Khan is in bed with the United Nations. I know this stuff because as an investigative journalist, I've been to 3 war zones where the United Nations have caused nothing but strife and problems and pain and misery and suffering. And they've brought war there. The United Nations is not a good organization at all. So we've got the UN and the Aga Khan working against Canada through our puppet leader, Justin Trudeau. And it's apparent. If you look at Toronto, which used to be the economic driving force, the economic engine of the country, it's going to crash. Toronto is dead. You've got 6.5 million people in the greater Toronto area. Nobody's working. No one's contributing to society because the government won't let them. And all of this is going to lead to an economic crash of the province of Ontario. Property values are going to drop. Crime is going to rise. I'll be rude here. Rapes, assaults, murders, theft, it's all going to skyrocket. And everyone's going to blame everybody else. No one's going to take accountability for it. Well, every mayor in Ontario is cooperating with Justin Trudeau, who in turn is cooperating with some pretty bad people. And every mayor that is doing so should be in jail for high treason. Trudeau should be in jail for high treason. As soon as you're allowing a foreign power to dictate any of the terms of how you're going to run your country, that's high treason. He should be in jail for the rest of his life. His wife, Justin Trudeau's wife, knows he's probably going to either be going to jail for high treason or he's going to have to leave the country forever. She knows this, so she's divorcing him. I think she already has, just to try to avoid the legal ramifications of being involved with this guy. So everybody, any leader that we have right now are weak individuals who are not doing anything to help you and everything in the world to hurt you. I honestly believe here in Alberta that Jason Kenney is not being bribed. Everyone says he's being bribed. No, I think he's being blackmailed. I think somebody has some really egregious information, maybe some compromising photographs, something, and they're bribing him, and he's not man enough to come forward and say, I am being blackmailed. If he did and named all the names, he would win the next election because Albertans are pretty intelligent people and forgiving and conservative. And if someone's going to tell the truth to that degree, Jason Kenney would win, but he's not. He's not coming forward.
It's interesting because I saw Jason Kenney really standing up and supporting We the People, and then it was just like a shift, complete shift. Mm-hmm. Now, remember, I know nothing about politics. I don't know. I guess I slept through that in school. But anyways, my uncle works for United Nations and has for so long, and he's in HR. And to be honest, if the world wasn't what it is right now, that's so obvious there's something wrong. If you were telling me these things, Kevin, I'd think you were crazy.
You would say so, yes.
Yeah. So how do I trust you? Because I don't trust anybody anymore. So how do I trust you?
Hey, first off, that's the right response. You should not trust anybody at all. And everything I'm telling you, I am the only one who's going to be honest enough and say, you should scrutinize what I'm saying too. Don't just take my word for it. Scrutinize, read into it, look into it. But again, I am the only journalist in this country who's been to any war zones in Southeast Asia for the last 3 years. The only one. They don't go. None of them go. All journalists now in Canada, they're mostly their kids under 25. They are of the extreme far left identity, and they are running the narrative of keeping everything left. You, for example, and me, who are doing our very best to raise families properly, they refer to us now as cisgendered males and cisgender females, which is meant to be an insult. We are supposed to feel bad about being white in this country, and we're supposed to feel bad about being heterosexual in this country. That's how crazy left-wing media has become. So I guess the question I would ask you is, would you trust someone who's trying to convince you that you're bad? Or would you trust the person who's telling you to scrutinize him? Believe me, left-wing politics and politicians right now don't want to be scrutinized. They are never seen in public, and they don't answer any questions. Yeah. Period. When was the last time you had a politician?
I tried to get Jason Kenney on an interview. Never heard back.
Well, if that happens, you let me know because I got to watch him private. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to get back to you, truthfully.
Well, I don't think so either. But I mean, I do believe in miracles. I have a tattoo that says believe. Okay. Left wing, right wing, what does that even mean?
Okay. If you're in the center, let's just say, for example, you're in the dead center of this new economic paradigm of left and right. You are someone that wakes up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you have your shower, you feed your kids, you have breakfast together, you send your kids to school, you go to work, you work really hard, you pick your kids up from school, you go home, you have dinner together, and maybe kids have hockey or soccer or swimming, and you go and you come home and shower up and put them to bed, read them a story. That is a centrist. Someone who leads a normal life so far as the country dictates that that is our culture. Wake up, educate your children, love your children, treat your children well, feed your children, go to work, pay your taxes. That's it. That would be a centrist. Someone who does not attack anybody, who does not break the law, who's not interested in harm to society in any way, and someone who does pay attention to their own fiscal responsibility, their own financial situation, and helps others. That's a centrist. Now, on the left side of that, the left-wing thinkers, they want the government to give them free money so they can do whatever they want. They don't want jobs. They don't believe in the family unit. They are okay with having multiple sexual partners, male and female, doesn't matter what, so long as they're having fun. If they have children, they don't take care of them properly. Some of them just put them up for adoption and let the state take care of them, because that interferes with their capacity to enjoy themselves. There is no responsibility if you are a leftist. You are someone that believes that there are 72 genders. You believe that the term gender means sex. There are two sexes out there, but they'll say there's 72 genders, utilizing the word gender to make us believe that there are more than two sexes. Gender does not mean sex. Gender is just this made-up word designed to confuse the population. If you're on the left, you believe that anybody who's a centrist or on the right is evil just because. That's it, just because. You would watch CNN if you're on the left, or CBC, and you would believe everything that they say without question. And then, not only that, but if you're on the left, you would go out of your way to commit heinous acts of violence to get your point across, which is not even yours. It's the one that you've been given by your education system or by the news. So these groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter and the Communist League and a few of these other crazy left-wing groups, they're the ones that you guys saw, that everybody saw, burning Portland, Oregon to the ground, shattering windows in San Francisco, defecating in the streets in San Francisco, shattering windows and burning things down in Olympia and Seattle, Washington. The ones who broke into the Capitol building. These are all far left groups that do this. And then what they do is they blame the centrists and the people on the right. That's how dirty politics have become. Now, here's the problem. Antifa and Black Lives Matter, they have been declared terror groups in multiple countries. They are funded here by some private interests. And I know this because they've been coming at me. They've been assaulting me and insulting me and attacking me publicly since I put my candidacy in for mayor. And I know who's paying them. We discovered that. And I'll be dealing with the police to get that dealt with.
So could we assume that the people on like the left that you're talking about here, that would be like the type of person that would burn down Pastor Art's garage?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the left.
Not
now, if you are
not all people on the left, but yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Correct. Not all, but I'm just saying if you have left-wing thought processes, it's very easy to go to the far left. Mm-hmm. And if you go to the far left, this is the kind of thing that you're going to be doing, because other far left individuals will call you names. They'll call you racist, homophobic, Islamophobic, and so on if you don't do what they say.
It's interesting that Mayor Nenshi called me a white something, a what? Nationalist? A white supremacist, probably, or white nationalist. I don't even know what that means, because I go out to rallies. I'm a white nationalist. No,
it's his way of saying that he hates white people without saying that he hates white people. Nenshi's a racist. He is hardcore racist. He really is. And most of the racism in the world comes from the extreme left. It just does, because they feel they have the moral high ground. And the second that a human being thinks they have the moral high ground, they will commit any heinous act that they wish, stating that the end will justify the means of breaking the law, assaulting people, and so on. And that is why leftism is so dangerous. And almost everybody in government right now is on the left. Now, let's talk about people who are slightly right of center. People who are slightly right of center end up being Hindus and Buddhists and Christians and Jews. People who add a bit more to their lives by adopting a particular deity, or in Hindus' case, deities, plural, and then living their lives according to the confines of the law of the land, but also the rules of the religion, which is fine. So everything I talked about with a centrist just means that they've added faith to their centrist views. The extreme far right, These are the ones that I don't like either. These would be real white supremacists. This would be the Ku Klux Klan. This would be the fans of Hitler or the sons of Hitler in Germany. These are groups that I want nothing to do with at all. But the media calls me far right because I sit slightly right of center as a Christian man who will practice his faith and be in church once a week as I see that it's necessary to do so. And I do, because I want to be involved with everybody in my church. They're good people. So I'm just slightly right of center, but they call me the far right. That's what we need to address here, is that in politics, everybody now has been told they must be part of one group or the other. Well, you don't have to be part of anything. You can decide for yourself what you're going to do. Declaring yourself left or right means nothing. I just declare myself slightly right of center because people do want to know my thought processes. And most people in Calgary who are over the age of 40 sit just slightly right of center. Most are Christians. There's a lot of Hindus here. There are Sikhs here. You know, there's Jews here, and there are Buddhists here, and there are Jainists, and there are Taoists and Confucianists, and there are Muslims. And many of these people are conservative, fiscally conservative, family-wise, they're conservative. They are certainly conservative in their lifestyles, in that they don't go and hurt people. So people who are slightly right of center or just slightly left of center, like slightly left of center, don't hurt people. But these extremist left people, like Mayor Naheed Nenshi, like, previous NDP leader of Alberta, Rachel Notley, the current head doctor, who's not a real doctor, Dina Henshaw, these are all extremist far left individuals who want to see you and I dead or out of the province. That's what they want.
I would think you're nuts right now. Have I not talked to Dr. Roger Hodkinson and done 2 interviews with him and talked to him also on multiple phone calls about the harm that's coming from masks, hand sanitizers, and COVID vaccine injections. So now I can actually understand why you put Dina Henshaw on the far left. It's happening.
Well, yes, because it is happening. And here's the problem, is that I don't study medicine, but I'm an investigative journalist, which means it's my job to go into hospitals and prove that they're empty, which I've done. It's my job to talk to doctors and nurses with hidden cameras and get them to tell me the truth, which I've done. It is my job to contact every level of government to say, I want to see the genome on file. I want to see the isolation reports of this supposed virus, and I want you to show me exactly what it looks like under a microscope. That's all I'm asking. You show me that, and I'll take back everything I've ever said. Mm-hmm. But they're not going to do that. Not now, not ever, because they have not isolated this virus. Coronaviruses, plural, have been with us since before our species walked erect. Back when our species was still having fist fights and spear fights with the Neanderthals, we had to deal with these viruses. They're not going away. They're part of what we are. But our bodies have this incredible thing called an immune system that fight these things off. But not only that, viruses are what are called objects that are on the very cusp of life. So they have not even been defined yet as something that's alive or not. But we do know that a virus has a very difficult time getting into your body. This we know. And if a virus gets into your body, your immune system is going to attack it right away. And if your immune system misses, the virus itself has to have a protein shell around it that's compatible with the cell that it's in contact with. And that may not work either. And it has to look for these cells. So it's going to float around in your body because it doesn't have any way to propel itself. And if it finds a cell that has a similar coating on the outside, well, then it can inject its RNA into that cell, and that cell can replicate the virus. If the immune system doesn't kill the virus first, and if the immune system doesn't kill that cell first and throw your cell into your bowel. Let's be honest here as to where all this stuff goes, or into your urinary tract. So viruses have a really difficult job. All right. Let's compare how difficult the job is. It'd be as difficult as you and I climbing the side of the CN Tower in Toronto, which is possible if you're fit enough to do so on the outside of the glass. That's very difficult to get to the top. I'd rather take the elevator, but viruses don't have the elevator option. They have to do all of this to infect you. Now, because viruses carry either DNA or RNA in them, we're talking ribonucleic acid, that stuff when it's overwhelming to your body, begins to break down your body's DNA, and now you don't have the full instructions to keep your body healthy. That's why these new RNA vaccines are so dangerous, because they're all RNA based, not protein based. So if you ain't sick, don't take medicine. I asked everybody last night on my podcast, how many of you would take codeine, Tylenol 3s, or OxyContin to kill pain if you didn't have a headache? And of course, everyone said, not me. Like, no, not me. So why would you take a vaccine if you're not sick?
Right.
Whenever a world pandemic comes out, it lasts for between 30 and 90 days. And then what happens here is the strong virus, the first wave is always the strongest virus. It kills people, but mostly people who were not healthy to begin with and had other diseases, sometimes 3, 4, or 5 other diseases. And then the virus realizing, uh-oh, I killed the host. I'm going to die too. That's how that works. Well, what'll happen is the viruses that are weaker, like the second wave that they called, or the third wave, each subsequent time the viruses are weaker, because a virus has to have a living host to survive and pass on its material on its own. And if it's killing everyone, that virus goes away real fast. That's why any plagues that they've had in the past will last for a while, and then everyone builds up a herd immunity to it, and eventually the weaker strains come out. So yeah, you still might get sick, but you're not going to die from it. And if they're going to say there's a third wave, well, that virus would be weaker than the first wave exponentially, not just a little bit, but exponentially. And global television wants us all to be afraid of a fourth wave now without ever having proved that there was a first. So how's that possible? And this is where I get into trouble with the government all the time, because I'm just telling them flat out, guys, you're full of it. You're lying to us. Just show me the isolation reports. That's it. That's all I want. It's kind of like, when you're talking to an ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend and you just want your favorite t-shirt back and you'll never call them again. All right. And what do? They hide it. They dodge your phone calls, and then they tell you the dog licked it. And then like 2 years later, they might give it back to you. Why make things so difficult? Just give me the paperwork I want and I'll stop talking. Mm-hmm. But they won't. Mm-hmm. So that makes me a threat. And in the political arena, now that I'm polling number 1, now it looks like I'm going to win this election, and I'm going to put the whole city back to work. What that does is it challenges their narrative that there is a disease or was a disease in the first place. Because I'm telling everyone, if you look at Texas and Florida, they are completely open for business. There are no more fines. You don't have to wear a mask, and people there are making millions. Well, I want Calgarians to make millions. I want people here making money. I want this to be the richest city in the country, and I'd like it to be the richest city in the north half of North America. That's truly what I want. I want Calgary to prosper. And you can't do that when you're allowing the government to continue lying to us about some deadly disease that they haven't proven existed. Mm-hmm. So, and then of course people will say, oh, no, the CBC says it's real, so it's real. You can't argue with people like that. You can't even show them, you can't show them facts and have them understand. They don't. They've got a belief, and you can't crush that belief. And that's not the people that would vote for me anyway. So let's talk about left and right in Calgary. I am the only right of center candidate running. There are 14 other people who are going to split the left wing vote. So thank you.
So there's 14 people running for mayor right now?
15 in total, including me.
15. And I'm so not into politics. When is the election?
October 18 of this year.
So there's still time for me to run?
Yes.
I feel like I should just do it.
Like September. You know what you should do? Is because there are a lot of really poor choices for school board trustee and for council. And I think that there are going to be 7 council seats open for grabs this year. Find out who's not, where the incumbent is not coming back, and run for council or run for school board trustee. Never discount how important school board trustees are, and never discount how far you can take a political career after you've been inside of the school board, seeing how poorly run they are. Let's be honest here. Kathleen Wynne, who was the previous premier of Ontario, she went from school board trustee to premier of a province. Now, factor that in. Never discount how important municipal politics really are. They truly are.
Could you imagine me the premier of Alberta?
Well, yes, and you would be a much better choice, because you would not be doing anything that's evil. You're far too kind and compassionate and loving an individual to ever destroy the lives of your own people. So I could.
I wonder what would change me. You know, what would they do to me that would get me to just do this 180?
Well, they start with bribes, honestly. No, that's not true. They start with threats. What they'll do is they'll come out and they'll explain to you how the world really works. And then they'll say, if you don't do this, we'll hurt your son. If you don't do this, we'll steal your money. If you don't do this, we'll lie and have a smear campaign. Oh, if that doesn't work, which on me is not going to work, then they go to money. If we give you $6 million, you have to follow this agenda. And if that doesn't
I can make
work,
my own 6 million.
yeah, exactly. If that, and six is an arbitrary number, but if that doesn't work, then they'll go to blackmail, and then they'll just go to outright threats, and then they'll actually go to physical harm. They'll try their very best to coerce you any way they possibly can. And I'm prepared for this because I've been coerced. I've been held at gunpoint before. I've been mugged at gunpoint. I've been stabbed. I lost a child. I lost a fiance. I mean, there's all kinds of, sorry, not necessarily fiance. Like we were technically married. I lost her to death. There's a lot of things I've lost in life. There's a lot of strain, strife, pain, and so on that I've had to endure. And I don't want sympathy. What I'm saying is all these painful things that have happened to me have opened my eyes to the reality that the sanctity of life has to be respected, because we're not going to meet aliens. That's just not going to happen. There are no spaceships hanging around here, guys. We're on our own, period. So we have to respect each other. If we want to have any semblance of normalcy into the future, and we want to see our species excel and not stagnate, which we are doing right now, we are stagnating right now, then we all have to understand politics and start putting the correct people in, having conversations like this, especially honest ones, where you come out and you state you don't know politics and you're looking for a bit of a crash course. That's honesty. And I admire that. I salute that. People who are honest with me always get they get first shot at me, is what I'm saying. So thank you for this opportunity.
And thank you for taking it, because you're talking to me, one mom, whereas you can talk to thousands of people. So thank you for making your time with me. I want to run for premier. You know what? Things are going to make a lot more logical sense when I'm premier, because I'm going to do my due diligence, with heart.
Yeah. I know you would, because I've listened to you speak publicly, and everything you've said was well researched and well thought out. So thank you for doing that. Now, I highly recommend that if you jump into the mayor race, the media is going to slander you left, right, and center. What you might want to consider is a council seat, because you have the same vote that the mayor has. First off, there are fewer guys and gals running. There's a greater chance you're going to win. And when you get in there, there's more influence that you're going to have, and you get to learn the ropes. And once you've learned the ropes, run for premier.
Yeah.
Get in there somehow. Get into some political position, whether it's school board trustee or council. But trust me when I say this, because it's me, because I've always had these views, and because the government's been trying to shut me down for 5 straight years, anyone who's going to run for mayor is going to have to endure the media slandering them too. Stay under the radar. Go to the council seats. Just so you can have a bit more privacy.
I'm going to take your counsel, your idea on that, and look into that for sure. And I welcome the publicity, because I am a businesswoman too. But anyways, okay, you say you're polling number 1. Okay, how do you know you're polling number 1?
No, I have to clarify that. I did say I'm polling number 1 with the Christian conservative groups. Those polls were released, and that was released as a photocopied or a black and white laser printed sheet. I saw someone handing them out. The better part of probably 700 or 800 of them at least got handed out. Plus they were on windshield wipers and so on. So whoever's running that poll is doing it privately, or it's a Christian group that's doing it. So what might happen there might be bias. I'm not going to lie to you and say that that's true. I'm going to tell you that there might be bias. Probably is. The liberal polls right now that are coming out have me number 5. So who do you believe? Again, you should scrutinize what I'm saying and not take anything I'm saying as fact until you've fact checked me.
So, and I looked into fact check, and anytime I see something denied by fact check, I'm like, oh, that's probably real. So I want to know, some party is just getting together and declaring you number 1.
Yes, a group of people, or I don't know them, and they have not reached out to me. So if they're releasing this information, they're doing so of their own accord. Now, what I'm saying to you here is when that thing got released, 2 hours later, I was arrested to try to intimidate me. They're trying to force me out of this election. It's not going to happen. You can't intimidate me. Like I said, I've been to war zones. I've been shot at. I've had to carry grenades and knives and swords. I've been with the Burmese army. I've been with the Colombian guerrilla. I've been to these places. You can't frighten me. You're not going to be able to intimidate me. So, and they know this. They've caught on because in Ontario, because I was telling everyone the truth about COVID-19 and how everything in Ontario worked, they locked me up in a maximum security prison for 6 weeks to try to teach me a lesson, to get me to be quiet when I got out. I got louder when I got out, and my audience grew to 500,000. So that shows you that the average person is not buying into what the far left is selling anymore. Nobody cares about what the far left has to say. People want to hear the truth. They want to hear someone like me who's entertaining, who's knowledgeable. I mean, I do my research. I am knowledgeable. I'm not going to toot my own horn here for the sake of it. I'm going to say that I know what I'm talking about because I've been studying this stuff for a very, very long time. I read 52 books a year. I put my camera in everyone's face. I know who all the politicians are that I have to worry about. And I know who the people are that are ruining the country and those who are trying to help. I know this because this is what I do for a living. Getting back to what I'm saying here is I am an absolute threat to the narrative because Justin Trudeau has his left-wing narrative. Jason Kenney may have come out being right of center, but he's now far left. And that could be for the reasons that we've talked about. Vancouver is a very far left city. Edmonton's a very far left city. Toronto is extreme in its leftism. And it's not that everybody is. It's just that that's what has control over the city right now is far left ideology. That's what's running the town. And Doug Ford, who started off strong by reducing city council to half of what it was and punishing those that hurt his brother, has now become a far left activist. He's no longer a premier. He's a far left activist. And I have no time or respect for that kind of thing. We have no leaders in this country whatsoever. We have no strong men and no strong women and seemingly nobody with any kind of intelligence who's willing to utilize that intelligence to help the country get out of this problem that was created by the country itself. Our leadership has done this to us, not you and me, and not a disease. Our leaders did this to us.
Even the pastors of our churches, hiding behind the walls of their churches. They are our leaders, and they are hiding, except a few
Everybody's
of them.
hiding. I know. Everyone's hiding. But I'll say this to you. The left-wing media and all media that's not based solely online, like every newspaper, every magazine, every radio network, and every TV station, they're all far left. There are no conservative stations left at all. What they've been doing is lying about me, slandering me, and libeling me, and so on. But they've given me the better part of 10 to 15 million bucks worth of free advertising. So God bless them for it. And they're going to pay me when I win in court for defamation, because you cannot come out and say that I am racist if you have nothing to base it on. There's not a single racist remark that I've ever made. As someone who investigates things thoroughly and fact checks everything thoroughly, and then goes to 2 more sources to fact check, there's not a single thing that I would ever have said that would be outside of the context of the truth as I know it to be at that time. So, in conclusion, they are terrified because if I get in, they know what's going to happen. I'm immediately going to take control of everything in the city. We're going to can a lot of discharge a lot of middle management. They don't want to lose their jobs, but a lot of them will. We're going to find out everybody who's left in town and tell them flat out, you can take your severance package and get the hell out of here, because I'm not interested in having you here. You don't produce. You don't work hard. You're lazy. You get in everyone's way. Go away. Go to Edmonton. Edmonton's far left. Go there. Toronto, they will accept everybody there who's far left with open arms. I would actually be making a call out. If you are a conservative Christian police officer and you're tired of the left-wing police force you're working on in Saskatoon, Regina, Toronto, Mississauga, Sudbury, Halifax, St. John's, come to Calgary, because we're changing the face of it. We're going to make this the best city in town. And I have to be that brazen in my decision-making. These are things I must do. I have to get rid of the left and make sure centrists and people slightly right of center are here so that we can have fiscal conservatism, fiscal responsibility, and we can have people that actually have Canada's best interest and the city's best interest at heart when they are here enforcing rules or being a part of the decision-making process. That's what has to happen. The left has to go. I have no interest whatsoever in being around people that want something for free. If you want something for nothing, you need to find somewhere else to be, period.
I think if I could put this in mom terms, this would be like as if I'm beating my kids at home and you're standing outside my house screaming, she's beating her kids, stop her. And I would want to do everything I can to get rid of you.
Right. What you would do, yes, you would have someone hose me down with water. You'd open your door and tell your German Shepherd, kill, kill, kill. You might point laser pointers in my eyes. You might throw eggs at me, maybe throw a brick. Maybe you phone your friends and have your friends come over and beat me up. And they'll do that whilst you're still beating your child. That's exactly it. That's exactly what I'm putting up with right now. Exactly to a T.
Wow, I get it now.
That's left-wing politics. And unfortunately, that's more than 90% of politics in this country. It's scary. So if you ever wonder why things just don't seem right, it's because we threw away our national identity. We are not enforcing anything other than left-wing dogma. And we've lied to every generation under the age of 35 about how things really are. And now what we have formed here is this new religion, which they call the LGBTQ movement. I know a lot of gay people. My social media manager is as gay as they come, but he's a conservative guy who goes to work, pays his taxes, comes into the office, works with us. He's good to everybody. He's good to everyone that he knows and can't stand the far left. And he gets called racist. He gets called homophobic. Imagine a gay man being called homophobic by other gay people who are on the far left. That's how crazy the left has become. Why? Because he comes over and he'll go and talk with them and he debates them using elongated language, the King's English. He properly deconstructs their arguments, proves them wrong, and they have no argument, so they call him a homophobe. So if they're going to call a gay man a homophobe, imagine what they're going to call me as a straight, cisgendered white male. All right? That's how bad it's become. It's foolish.
I mean, if you were standing outside of my house while I'm beating my kids inside, I'd call you anything I possibly could to try to get you to go away.
That's correct. You won't come out and debate me and tell me that you're doing the right thing and then prove it to me.
Right.
Because you know what you're doing is wrong. You'll use any method that you possibly can to get rid of me. And a guy like me ain't leaving. And then you're going to get more frustrated. So you're going to pout now. And you're going to go on to Twitter and tell people what a horrible guy I am. Well, good for you, because that's free advertising for me. Whenever the extreme left wing, and let's call them what they are, nuts. They are crazy. When they get on Twitter and complain about what I've said or what I've done or the fact that I'm polling number one, what they are doing is they are calling Google's attention to my name. And my website traffic has skyrocketed. I've had days where my website broke 30,000 views just because the left wing has given me so much free advertising. And they're going to keep whining about what I say and do. And all I say and all I do is as I tell the truth and I live according to the Canada that I grew up in, my traditions, my country, and I work within the confines of the law. And because of that, the Alberta government is writing new laws or putting in new orders to try to get me arrested because I don't drink and they know it. I don't smoke and they know it. I don't do drugs and they know it. I'm not a member of any affiliated gang and they know it. I don't go to strip joints and they know it. So what do they have on me? It's whatever they make up. And that's how the far left operates. That's why everybody who's left of center has to be removed from politics as quickly as possible. So I'm suggesting, please run for council because you are a proper, slightly right of center, fiscal conservative who wants nothing but the best for her family and everybody else around her. And that's more of what we need in politics, not less of.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I get it too. Like if you were standing outside my property screaming that I'm beating my children as I'm beating my children, I would probably try to call the police on you and tell them you're the problem and I'm not beating my children. Yeah, I see how this is working.
But in Calgary right now, if you were beating your kid, you would have the support of Naheed Nenshi. Naheed Nenshi would tell the police to arrest me. Yeah. That's how crazy it is. So you're doing everything illegal and the mayor is endorsing it and telling the police not to do anything about it. I know this. The cops talk to me all the time. They tell me this stuff. People who work for the city of Calgary tell me this stuff. The security guards that are inside of City Hall tell me this stuff. They want change too. There's a small contingent of people in Calgary who work for the city who don't want me in there. Why? Because they are lazy, far left, activists who don't want to be cleaned out when I come in here and clean house. They want the cushy job where they don't have to do anything. Well, if you're working for the city of Calgary when I am the mayor, you're going to come to work and you're going to work hard, like I did in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, like my father did when he bought his first house in 1967. If you can't handle the fact that I'm a hardworking guy who demands 100% effort from everybody all day long, then you're in the wrong place. Go to Toronto. They love lazy people there. Go to Toronto. Don't come here. There we are. So I hope all of this helps.
I see what you mean, though. I want you to come have a barbecue at my house for the next 3 days, and I have like so many more questions. But this has really helped me to have a baseline understanding of what's going on.
Well, I'm glad to help in any way that I possibly can. And unfortunately, I do have to pack up here because I have another live show in exactly 8 minutes. This will be show number 4, I think. So I want to say thank you for this opportunity. Thanks for talking with me. Thanks for talking with me in public in front of the courthouse. And thank you for what you do.
And right back at you. Thank you. Just one mom here, and you're going to go talk to thousands. And God, thank you so much for your time, Kevin. I'm excited to go now look at signing up for applying for city council.
Do it, and I'll sign. I live in Calgary. I'll sign. Let me be the first signature on there.
I'm honored. Yes. All right. Here we go. We're getting it started. Thank you, Kevin. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day. Take care. Bye now.
Bye.